Hello and welcome to The Flicksters, the place to get all your movie news, reviews and gossip. Don't forget to like, subscribe at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. This is another episode of The Flicksters, a film show brought to you by a couple of film nerds. That's me, Amar, and my good friend
Duval,
who's sitting right opposite me, and he's looking absolutely fantastic in
my Shield t-shirt.
In your Shield t-shirt.
It's looking kind of tight, isn't it? Don't you think?
But you know what? It's still looking good on you. It's like, can I ask, where did you pick that up from?
It's actually a birthday present I got last year from a close friend.
Okay. My birthday's coming up soon, so if you don't mind throwing one my way as well, that'd be great. Okay, so thanks for downloading the podcast, ladies and gents, and we've got a fantastic show for you today. Today we'll be looking at the UK box office top 10. That's a kind of something that we regularly do. We'll be talking about a couple of films that we've seen over this week. Most importantly, we've got a review and an in-depth analysis of Solo, a Star Wars story. So stick around, crank up the volume, put your gym jams on, put your dress on or your clothes on, or if you want to watch naked, that's fine by us as well. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So, Duval, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm really good. We've got a pretty packed out show, and I want to just kind of mention a couple of things. When you go to the cinema, do you go with friends or do you go with your family or do you go by yourself?
I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a Billy No Mates, so I go alone a lot of the time. I
have to say, this week I saw Solo, a Star Wars story, and I saw it on my own. And you know what? It was actually... I got into the movie. I really did, because I didn't have someone nudging me, telling me to shut up.
Well, if there's one film to see by yourself, it's a film called Han Solo. You go solo.
Exactly. So let us know what you think. Listeners, do you go with your friends? Do you go with your family? Do you go by yourself? Do you like it when you go by yourself? I mean, I think it's quite cool. I mean, just to sit there in a darkened room with strangers, enjoying a movie. I mean, what do you think?
So sitting in a room in the dark, Han Solo.
There's a joke in there somewhere, right? There is. Yeah, exactly. So Duval, today we're looking at the UK box office top 10, and any guesses for what is number 10?
Number 10. Any guesses? I would think maybe the Peter Rabbit that we spoke of a couple of weeks ago. I think Peter Rabbit could be number 10.
You know what? You're not far off. No, actually, it's not even in the top 10. Peter Rabbit, our friend Peter Rabbit, a staple of this country, is down at number 14.
What?
Number 14.
No way.
Yeah. So Pete is not doing actually really well. But what we have got at number 10 is a new entry, which is called An American in Paris, the musical.
An American in Paris, the musical?
Yeah.
I don't know why I repeated it, but I just had to make sure that.
So yeah, number 10, An American in Paris, the musical, and I think it's a theatre production. So I think you see this quite a bit now, where you have a lot of shows at the National Film Theatre, where they show like productions, like stage productions, and they show them at the cinema. And people can't go to the theatre, so they just put them on in the cinema. And this one, it seems like as if it's at number 10. Number 9, again, your favourite film, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
No.
This film is still kicking about.
How?
God knows. I mean, can we, listeners out there, can we get a review of this film? Because clearly, Duval and I, we're not going to watch this film.
I will pay for a review.
If you can give us a review in 140 characters or less, or actually, you know what? It doesn't matter how big it is. On the Facebook page, you can go off on one, you can rant, you can whatever, you can tell us about it. Please do tell us and put us out of our misery. Okay, so number 8 is A Quiet Place, and you're going to kill me for this.
You still ain't seen it?
I still have not seen this film, and what's sad is, like other people that I know, they've seen it and they just keep talking about it, and ironically, I always tell them just to keep quiet about it. So A Quiet Place, this is at number 8. And just kind of briefly again,
again, it needs to be seen to be believed. It's a film that really I don't know, it sort of does well with the whole horror scary movie trope, hiding around in corners and trying to avoid something dangerous, but it does it really well, in my opinion.
John Krasinski, is he a big leading
He does really
actor
well.
now?
Yeah, I think. I mean, he wrote, directed, and starred. His hands are really dirty in this film, and I feel that he's done well. So he's gonna have more opportunities to get his vision out there for sure.
Can I say something really controversial?
Go ahead.
I think he could be the next Captain America.
Do you know? It's funny you say that because there have been campaigns for him to be the next Mr. Fantastic, and for his wife to be Sue Storm.
You know what? That would be.
I mean, there's pictures out there with him in the uniform.
It could happen. I mean, I think he's a great actor. I mean, she's fantastic. I really liked her in the Tom Cruise film.
That film with
Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, great film.
Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah,
I thought that was fantastic, and I think there is going to be a second. They're talking about that one.
So I hear.
Yeah. Okay, so number 7 we have Breaking In, and did you see this?
I've not seen that. No.
Again, this is where we need the help of our fans, our subscribers out there. If you can let us know what you thought of Breaking In, we will read that out. At some point, we will watch some of these films. Number 6, I still can't believe it. This is it's still in the top 10. It's Blade Runner.
Wow! Still
in the UK top 10, and this is at number 6. So it's still doing fantastic. Obviously, fans out there, I think the older generation, the people who've been watching this film for the last 20, 30 years, they will obviously go to watch the film. But I think the new generation, people who kind of saw Blade Runner 2049, where they probably didn't see the original, they're probably thinking, oh, actually, you know what? Let me go back and revisit the original to see where it's all started. So I think we've spoken about this before. You had some deep thoughts on this, and I think it's a classic. I think it deserves to be in the UK top 10. I think it deserves to be seen.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
No matter how many people out there who haven't seen it, I think you should go see it. Okay, so number 5 we've got Life of the Party.
Life of the Party,
which is the Melissa McCarthy film, which we we spoke about last week. I've obviously not seen it.
Neither have I, but it's the sort of film I think. I mean, in my opinion, I would probably see it in the right circumstances, but I wouldn't actually rush to the cinema to go and watch it. But it looks like a fun film,
It does. It does look like a fun film. So number 4, I Feel Pretty, and you've.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty. I do. It's not about how people see me, it's how I see myself, and that's the message that the film puts across.
And don't you reckon in this day and age, with the whole kind of social media and everyone's image is out there, I think we need to see films like this, or we need to have films like this. You and I just need to go watch it.
No, I've seen it.
sorry, you have
seen the film, and I did like it. Yeah.
Okay, so sitting at number 3 in the UK box office top 10 is Sherlock Gnomes, which is a gnome caper. So a gnome caper. So it's Sherlock Holmes. It's your wonderful Arthur Conan Doyle characters recreated as gnomes solving a crime which kids may find interesting.
I think it's a good spin on an old classic for a new generation, and I think it's interesting. I think I might see it actually.
Okay, if you watch that, then I'll give you a tenner, mate. I'll pay for your ticket. Okay, so at number 2, no surprise. I mean, it was either going to be 1 or number 2, but it's at number 2. It's Avengers: Infinity War, and the movie has taken.
No, number 2.
It's at number 2, and you know what? It's taken about 70 million.
Wow.
Close to 70 million. And
it goes up by 10 million every week.
I know,
literally.
I know. And it's broken all records, hasn't it? It overtook Black Panther.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, it overtook Black. I think at the moment worldwide it's sitting at 1.5 billion.
Wow.
1.5 billion, in taking. So clearly, Avengers, Marvel, they are doing like something really, really good here. And we've said, we spoke about this for over an hour, like a couple of weeks ago, and you've seen it like almost 10 times. I've seen it a couple of times, and I can't wait to watch it again. I think I'll wait until it comes out on Blu-ray to watch it, just to kind of give a bit of space so that I can pick up on new aspects of it. But I mean, I loved the film. You loved it.
Yeah.
All our friends, like, you know, the people that we know, they loved it. I think kids will love it as well. So there's so many things in there. You know, it's dark, it's kind of fun.
It does a villain that has never been done before in any Marvel film, in my opinion. I mean, the villain is so convincing.
Yeah.
And you almost, well, for me personally, I almost bought into his egotistical plans. And for a villain to achieve that in a Marvel film, blockbuster, you know, it's a massive feat.
Absolutely. And when you see Thanos crying, oh my God, like it's really heartfelt. Okay, in terms of like ranking, and I'm only just talking about the cinematic universe at the moment. The comic,
that's a big question. I know what you're going to ask. That's a big question.
Would you rank him up there like as the number one villain, or who compares?
For me, Killmonger. He very much compares, because Killmonger is a villain that, again, I can see where he's coming from. And for him to be a villain, do bad things, and still get an audience or section of the audience to agree with him, not agree, but understand where he's coming from, that again is a big feat.
And just to remind our listeners, just to explain to the listeners out there, who was Killmonger?
So Killmonger in Black Panther, played by Michael B. Jordan, and his whole, I guess, goal in Black Panther was to, you know, go back to his roots in Wakanda, be the king, and I guess he grew up in America. He wants to overthrow all the powers in the world and in Western society, take back all the artifacts that were taken from Wakanda and Africa during slavery. And, you know, he's it's a really, really charged and really, really, you know, all the tones are there for a character to really, you know, set it up, and he does it quite well.
Yeah, totally. My only gripe, I'm not sure, I don't think I've spoken to you about this, but my only gripe with Black Panther was Killmonger. In my opinion, I think it was he was killed too easily. I think it should have been a bit more of a struggle for Black Panther, because Killmonger is this massive like character, and he's got so much rage.
Yeah. And
for me, the rage is what kind of like was driving him. Like you said, you know, about kind of he wants to take back, he wants to like kind of like appropriate like, you know, his culture back and everything, and the culture of his people. So it was this real rage. And then I thought, Black Panther, just like the train went by. Was it some? I can't remember if it was like a train went by, and then, but it was amazing. The you know, his dying shit. I mean. Shit, for the people out there who haven't seen Black Panther, I think we just fucking messed this one up.
They must have seen it by now. If they haven't, then, you know, it's their fault.
This is like 6 weeks, right? This was like a long time ago, 6-7 weeks or 8 weeks.
February 16th it came out, so
okay,
13th I think it was.
Okay, so that leaves us with the UK's box office number one film, which is none other than
Deadpool
2. And we spoke about this at length last week. So if you've seen the film and you want to kind of listen to what we think about and listen to kind of us going in depth into this, please do check out last week's episode. That's episode 2. But hey, I mean, come on.
And I must say, I mean, you will not see a more comprehensive breakdown of Deadpool 2 anywhere on the internet. So do check it out. But yeah, Deadpool 2 for me, it's deservedly high on the top 10. I still personally think Infinity War should be number 1, but that's just me. But Deadpool 2 is definitely in the right place according to the, you know, the masses, I guess.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's done really well in America. However, it hasn't done as well as the first Deadpool.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, make of that, you know, what you will. I think when in 2016, when the first Deadpool film came out, it was such a different film.
Yeah.
And I think word of mouth.
Yeah. It came out of nowhere. It just shocked the audiences, and it also it gave people something that they've been yearning for a long time, because you know, we've got avid comic book, cartoon, even computer game fans, and when they saw this character jump from those platforms onto the Hollywood, movie platform, people couldn't believe it. They were like, yes, thank you very much. So
Yeah.
I think the first one really just jumped out at us.
Yeah, exactly. And I was a bit kind of not worried or anything, but I mean, I was just like thinking, shit, because the director of the first one was going to make the second one,
Yeah,
and then
creative differences.
we'll speak about creative differences actually when we come to speak about Solo as well, because this thing, creative differences. I mean,
What does it mean?
What does it mean, Deval? Come on, what does it mean?
Oh, I like it blue. Oh, I want it red. Oh, I want it green.
Like-
Oh, we can't work together.
Like, how many films, like in Hollywood, that have come out of Hollywood where someone's got pissed off, someone has said something, or
It actually happens quite a lot. Even the new, I know we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but even the new Queen film, Bohemian Rhapsody, is that what it's called? I think.
absolutely right, because it was going to be Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. Creative differences.
Ali G was going to be like Queen, and I got to say, I saw the trailer for Queen, and the actor who plays Queen, his name is Rami Malek, and I've spoken about him before in Mr. Robot. I think he's brilliant. The one thing that I wasn't too sure about was his accent.
Oh, okay.
I've got to watch the film to obviously pass judgment on that.
Is he American or something?
He's American.
Okay.
So, but the facial and everything, oh my God, he got it spot on. So I just really wonder, I'm really looking forward to that film. So yeah, we'll kind of speak about that when that's out. So that's the UK's box office top 10. And before we kind of speak about some of the films that we've seen, I just wanted to kind of speak about any film news, anything that you've heard recently.
I've heard a few bits and bobs over the past week, but one thing I wanted to mention today, because I don't know if you know, I'm a massive Marvel fan.
Really? I mean, I wouldn't have guessed.
Well, you know how it is, but yeah, so there's rumours, I don't know how true it is, but there's rumours that the next Spider-Man movie, I'm not sure what the title is, maybe it's Homecoming 2, I don't know, but the next Spider-Man movie, the villain could possibly be Jake, I can never say his name right, Jake Gyllenhaal or Gyllenhaal.
You're absolutely right. So Jake Gyllenhaal, I think I caught a bit of this. So so tell me about it.
So there's news or rumours that he could be playing the villain Mysterio. Ooh,
That sounds really mysterious.
It is mysterious. Mysterio is a massive Spider-Man villain,
Right.
one of the top villains in the Spider-Man roster, and his powers are mystic, a bit like I guess you could say he's a little bit like Doctor Strange, but in a different way. He is from the story from the comics and I think animation as well, is that he worked on a film set, I believed, or it was working in special effects in some fashion, and obviously something happened and he turned into a villain, and he adopted all the effects powers, and he's able to apply it to his arsenal whenever he's in conflicts with Spider-Man or anyone else. So a lot of his powers are going to seem magical. He can vanish, he can, create smoke and create different special effects that will, I guess, harm Spider-Man. But it'd be interesting to see how this comes about in the next film. But I do think if it is Jake Gyllenhaal, he's a great actor. So whatever he does, he'll be good at it.
Have you ever heard, or was there any other kind of follow up on the story about seeing a Blade? A reintroduction to Blade. Was that ever going to happen again?
I heard something about that, but and also heard Wesley Snipes was going to be involved in some kind of way. Whether he'll be passing on the mantle to a younger Blade, because obviously he's getting on now.
Must be about 50.
Yeah, he's still in good shape, but I don't think if they do another Blade, it should be him. I think someone else should take on the mantle. But I heard it could be a TV series, or it could be another movie. But at the same time, Marvel have said that they're not sure if they want to introduce that side of things into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When I say that side of things, I mean, you know, vampires and things like that.
Yeah.
But also there's space to leave that side of things within the Spider-Man sort of cinematic universe, which is Sony and Disney.
Because and in the cartoon, in the animation, I mean, Spider-Man teams up with Blade a couple of times, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Because there's this villain called Michael Morbius who I can't remember how he comes about getting the powers of a vampire, but he gets the powers of a vampire. He's really strong. He actually has to suck people's blood to survive. And I think also Felicia Harding gets involved in that storyline as well. But yeah, so that storyline could be open to, or maybe left for the Spider-Man universe. Who knows?
And just to kind of like touch upon that, the whole Blade thing, Ryan Reynolds as well. Blade 3.
Oh yes, of course. Yes, he was in it. Of course.
This guy has like how many characters? Like, he's always there. Like Green Lantern. He's like he's been in like obviously Deadpool. So it's another one that he can kind of put on his CV. Like he's been in a Blade film as well. So this guy is like really good. Yeah. Also, another reason why I kind of like mentioned that was I remember when Blade 3 was coming out. And there's a shot of like Ryan Reynolds with his like he's got his his top off and everything, and then I could not believe the transformation because this guy was in like Van Wilder, who was this skinny like National Lampoon's like Van Wilder, one of these kind of like comedy films where he was like really skinny. And I remember reading an article. This is going off on a tangent. I remember reading this article where he begged the director of Blade 3. He said, "Please, please, 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 can I do this role? And I'm going to pump up. I'm going to get big for you." And within about 6 to 8 months, the transformation was amazing. So this guy I think he's got super talent. So dedicated. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to think what other like movie news out there. I mean, obviously, I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, Rambo. There's going to be another Rambo film. I'm really excited about that.
Was it the other Marvel stuff? Could it be? I know recently, there was news. I guess it's more film development more than news, but because we're all looking forward to what's going to happen next in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we all know Miss Marvel's going to be released in February. But filming for that has progressed. And there's sort of set images of showing Samuel L. Jackson on set, Jude Law. The actor that plays Agent Coulson, Clark Gregg, I think his name is. So it's going to be an old cast, but with new characters. So there's been a few images online where you can see them progressing with the filming on that. And it just shows that things are on plan, on course. And also shows just how organised Marvel are in, they've got so many things happening at once, but, they've got a plan, they've got a schedule, and they stick to it, which is great.
Yeah, and is it true? I'm not sure, you'll probably know this. Avengers Infinity War, that was planned like back in
2006 or something like that. So
I mean, they're looking way ahead, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like beyond Infinity 4, the fourth part. So they're looking beyond kind of the Phase 4, because Part 4 is the end of Phase 4, right?
I believe so. Yes, okay. I believe so. And then after that, there's news of the Skrulls being involved, and we need another show to talk about what. I think we could do another podcast about what's to come in Marvel alone, and for everyone, another day perhaps.
If you want us to kind of look into this and talk about this, please do let us know. Send us a message on Twitter, on Instagram or on Facebook. Let us know, and we can kind of talk about it, because we're super excited.
Yeah,
I mean, we'd love to just talk about it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so kind of moving on from the news, we've got you saw a film.
Did some homework. I did. Yeah,
you did some homework. You did homework, and I did homework. You watched a film,
Cargo.
Tell us about Cargo.
A bit about it. So I'm not gonna give any spoilers away, because I think people should get the opportunity to see it with a bit of a blank canvas. So what I will say, Cargo is a film starring Martin Freeman. That's his name, Martin Freeman. Good old Martin Freeman. He's a great character. I just like seeing him on screen. He's a very likable guy. Anything he does, you sort of, you root for him. So it's a post-apocalyptic movie set in Australia.
Okay.
And We've seen a lot of films before with zombies or people infected and things like that. You know, the human race just in a state of real shit, basically. And this film is no different. It's set in Australia. Martin Freeman has a family, a young baby. When I say young baby, I think the baby's about maybe 6 months old, I think.
Right, okay.
I don't know. And his wife, they're already... You know, things have already gone to shit already. You know, the world, as far as I know it, is just, there's these zombies or people are infected.
Right.
They don't really, clarify what's going on.
Okay.
But you can tell things have been wrong for quite a while.
Right.
So they're in dire straits. They're trying to survive. You know, they need to go from one place. They're trying to find some salvation somewhere. And I guess the story plots along his journey in trying to provide and keep his family safe amongst this environment of pure hell. As you can imagine, if it was just, you by yourself or maybe you with your wife, that's a different story. But if you've got a baby with you, making noise and needing to be fed every now and again, it's hard to get food.
I'm just thinking about that, like a 6 month, a 6 month old. How the hell would that work in a post-apocalyptic universe?
There's only one way to find out. I'm not going to say fight, but you got to watch the film. I don't want to spoil it, but it's very, very interesting. It's very endearing. It's very bleak, and I will say it does. One thing I do like about it is the film really gives you a view of Australia that you don't often see on TV.
Okay,
I mean, I'm from here in the UK, in London. I've never been to Australia, but Australia, I think of it as TV shows like Home and Away and Neighbours,
exactly,
and the Great Barrier Reef, and all of that. But in this film, you get to see Australia in all its beauty. When I say that, I mean Australia is it's not really depicted as a multi-diverse country,
absolutely,
but it is. But in this film, you get to see a lot of diversity.
Okay.
So I think for that alone, apart from the rest of the story, it's a really good addition to the film.
Because when I think of Australia, I think of this huge, massive landscape. Like, you've got really like famous, iconic monuments in Australia, but also you've got this side, which is, me personally, I think it's this dark side, like that, like the outback.
I was just going to say, like, you get a lot of the outback in this film, a lot of it.
Imagine getting lost in the outback. That's it. You're done. Forget about it. And it kind of reminds me of, when I think of Australia, I think of the film Wolf Creek.
Oh yeah, great film.
I love that film, and that was really nasty. So it just kind of, if I think to myself, of all the places, imagine if you had to be stuck somewhere and you were stuck in the outbreak, you are absolutely fucked. Yeah. Like, this is it. I mean,
forget even the infected or the zombies or whatever they are. When you're in the outback, you've got the coyotes, you've got the rattlesnakes, and you got
exactly.
I don't know what else is out there, but you've got things to deal with.
You got probably like Crocodile Dundee out there, like just kind of being crazy. Imagine you and I out in the outback. I think we just end up like eating each other, just like kill me now, that type of thing. So okay, so it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah,
right?
worth a watch, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it like a long film? Is it, how long is it?
It's just under 2 hours, I believe. But there's not many times where it really drags on. There's always a point to what you're seeing.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best type of zombie film out there.
Okay.
But it's definitely one of the ones that you should see in the top 10 of the list.
In your opinion, what would you say is like a really, really great like zombie movie?
I mean, in my opinion, a zombie movie that gives you a bit more than what you expect. I like that. So when I first saw 28 Days Later, I think it was, and the zombies were running, I was like, no, hold on a second. Zombies don't run. They're slow. They're, just whatever.
Yeah.
These zombies or infected or whatever you want to call them, they were running. I was
coming
like,
at you, jumping at you.
Exactly. That shocked
brilliant.
me. So that, for me, I will never forget that.
And did you feel the same about World War Z or World War Z?
Well, I did, but because I'd seen it already, I wasn't so shocked. But yeah, World War Z, I think because it was we saw it from a global scale.
Yeah.
That was quite shocking. And we saw, with World War Z, we saw it as it happened.
Right.
With 28 Days Later, I think the the main star, I can't remember his name,
Cillian
Murphy, I think his name
Murphy,
is.
yeah.
I think he was in hospital and he woke up to it.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually see the transition.
Almost like The Walking Dead.
Exactly, pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Walking Dead copy that. But with World War Z, or World War Z, depending on where in the world
where
you
you're
are,
from, yeah.
we actually saw the transition of people actually starting to change for the first time. So that was interesting.
So would you say, like with Cargo, is it like because in World War Z there was a lot of special effects, I think, and in this one it's just kind of have they toned it down? It's more character driven.
It all down. It's all totally character driven. You are invested in the characters. The infected or the zombies are, I don't know if they call it a plot device, or they're just there in the background to add a sense of, impending terror to the story. But apart from that, it's all about Martin Freeman. I've not actually seen him in a role like this before. He really carries it. He does carry it well, I must say.
You know what? I mean, obviously, I've liked him since The Office. I thought he was brilliant in that. It was like brilliantly underplayed.
And there's also, I must say, sorry to interrupt you, there's also a young girl in the film, Aboriginal girl.
Okay.
And I can't remember what her name is, but she's excellent in the film.
Really?
She is another character who, she just comes out of the blue and you just really root for her.
Yeah.
So, their relationship is interesting.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. And it's really, it does develop throughout the film
and
in a good way.
I've got to hand it to Netflix. I mean, that they are pumping so much money into kind of like new shows, new films, and do you think this film deserves to be seen on the big screen, or is it okay to watch it in your home, like, with the curtains done, and you just want to flick something on a Friday night and boom, it's there?
I actually think it's good for both, and the reason why I say that is because I did watch it alone in bed. I didn't fall asleep, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So it kept me gripped. But I think there should be films should maybe be released if it's going to be on Netflix. Fine, but then I think there should have been a regional release for this film. Martin Freeman's a massive UK actor.
He's a big star in the UK.
This film is based in Australia. Perhaps it could have been released for a week or two in those respective regions before going on Netflix. Perhaps I'm not sure how these things work, but I think it would have been a good cinema film. Actually,
Okay.
I would have gone to the cinema to see it. Basically,
Okay, well, that's interesting. All right, so definitely I'm going to put that on my watch list. It sounds actually really interesting. And number one, because I like Martin Freeman, and number two, I want to see Australia, and I love a good old zombie film. We're huge fans of The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Of course, it's right up my alley. Okay, so thanks for that one. So now I think we can safely move on to Solo, a Star Wars movie.
Before that, how about your homework? You try.
Actually, you know what?
Cannot.
I can't get away from this one.
You can't get away from this one.
Actually, okay.
I need to know how your homework was.
So my homework, I'm not sure if the listeners out there remember, but a couple of weeks ago, Deval, he gave a couple of recommendations. He said, he mentioned a couple of shows, but he also mentioned this film called Coherence, a 2013 film, which I tracked down, and I saw it a couple of days ago, and I have to tell you, the film blew my mind.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was... Okay, so first things first. It doesn't star anyone famous, okay? But, however, people will recognise a character in there called Kevin, who is played by Maury Sterling. I think his name is Maury Sterling. And Maury Sterling is Max in Homeland. So if you are huge fans of Homeland... Maury, he kind of really underplays his character of this technician, this spy technician in Homeland, and really quiet.
Okay.
He's kind of nervous.
Wow.
He lacks confidence. Eyes are always shifting around all the time. However, in Coherence, he plays this kind of there's different layers to his character, and I'll explain what's going on. So the film centers around 8 friends. They're having dinner. There's lots of discussion about what's going on in people's lives. And in the background, literally in the background, is a comet.
Yeah. Which
you hear about, on the news. A few people, they mention it over dinner, and someone says, hey, look, the comet, I think it's called Miller's Comet. I think in the movie it's called Miller's Comet. So there's a couple of kind of like bits of information about a comet, and someone, as kind of like a plot device, one of the characters, the lead characters, mentions, oh, there was kind of like a comet in Finland, and the effect of the comet had this on the people. So when that was mentioned in the film, I thought, okay, so the comet is going to definitely play a part in what I'm about to see. So the film starts off at quite a frantic pace, I think, because there's lots of starting and stopping. So the director used this technique where he lets the scene play out, but then he fades to black. And then he starts the scene up again, and then it plays out, and then it fades to black.
How did that make you feel? Did it make you feel a sense of impending terror, anxiety, or how does it make you?
I thought, shit, what the hell is going on over here? Like, so we see a bit of the scene, and then it fades to black, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like I want to find out. I want to find out what is going on. So as the film progresses, there's all these different characters. You've got kind of like rivalry within the group. I'd say someone who the character who knows it all.
Okay, yeah.
You've got the one who is the thinker in the group. You've got the one who is like a bit quirky and a bit kooky and kind of like...
It could be like any or most typical groups, social groups, work groups.
Exactly.
Just regular people.
And imagine, so listeners out there, imagine if you had like a house, like a party at your house, and you invite like, a couple of guests around. So you've got all these different characters, but in the background, there is this kind of... the comet, there's something about this comet, and it has effect on this group. And as the group are kind of talking, eating, drinking, there's an incident in the house which forces the group to go out of the house and to walk a couple of blocks to another house, because in that other house, it's the only house on the street which has light and it has electricity. So something has happened. Where our characters are eating their dinner, where it forces them to go outside. So they decide, right, okay, let's go to this other house. Let's try and get some help. And then that is when the mind bend or the mind fuck basically happens.
Mind warp.
Yeah. It leads you down this rabbit hole, which you just want to find out, right? Okay, so they've gone to this other house, but then it leads to another kind of issue, another problem, and it then leads to another issue. And before you know it, I was like, whoa. Yeah. And there's a theory in this film. So it's basically...
Are you going to give a spoiler? Or
I'm not going to give a spoiler out, but I'm just going to mention, this theory, which is talked about in the film. And after I saw the film, I started reading up on it.
Okay.
And oh my God, it's just like... Do you do that when you watch a film?
Yeah, I think I know what theory you're talking about, and it's scientific, isn't it?
It's a scientific theory.
Yeah.
And oh Jesus! Like even now, I'm just trying to explain what it is, but it's to do with dimensions or something like that. It's that, and it's also to do with kind of the infinite possibilities.
Oh yeah, the multiverse.
Yeah. So we live in obviously, you and I live in this universe, and they pose a question in the movie that what if there are in infinite universes or realities?
Yeah.
And it is a cracking film. It's only an hour and a half long. It doesn't have huge stars, and you might be thinking, oh God, this is like a cheap movie. But I tell you what, I was reading up about this, it cost $50 million to make.
Wow.
For a small, to me, that's not a small film.
Yeah.
$50 million to make a film. It doesn't have huge stars, but it is a film which makes you think about, holy shit, what if there are alternate, other realities?
Yeah. Does it really well. Not massive special effects or anything. It's all in the mind, isn't it?
And it's all set in like one house.
Oh, great.
And that house is the film director's house.
Are you serious?
They filmed in his house. Can you believe it?
So he saved some money.
He wrote it. So he wrote it. He directed it. He produced it. I mean, this guy is like, I've never seen anything else of his.
Yeah.
But
you won't see anything else like this.
so listeners out there, if you can track this movie down, I've got to tell you, I had to pay for it on I think it's called Mubi.
Oh, apologies. I was meant to give it to you and I forgot. Sorry.
Mate, don't worry about it, because you can't. It's not on Netflix in the UK.
It used to be, you know.
Oh, really?
It used to be, but I think they've taken it off.
They're taking it off. And if there's any listeners out there in the US, I think it is on the US Netflix.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you can track this film down, if you like a sci-fi with a bit more kind of intellect.
Perfect word. Yep. Perfect word.
This is a film for you. There's no kind of like huge special effects. There's no like spaceships. There's no aliens coming in there. But it really kind of like gets you thinking about what if there are.
Also, I also remember watching it and thinking, what would I do? What would I do?
Absolutely.
Should they have done that? Or so many questions.
Okay, here's a question for you. Have you ever considered, or have you ever thought about, there is another Duval out there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I mean,
I have.
It made me think of that.
Yes, I mean, you're talking to someone who's a bit mad, a bit crazy, a bit weird, and I believe in a lot of these.
Yeah, I agree.
Theories of string theory and parallel universes and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, you're talking to the right guy about this. I believe there's a lot going on out there that we don't fully yet understand or believe. But
what if that Duval, or like a second Duval or a third Duval, is like a complete arsehole?
Well, it's really the same as this one then, isn't it? Not much difference.
No, this Duval in my universe, he's class. But I'm just thinking to myself, imagine if there was like a version of you out there in the universe who is just like, you know, a right wanker. Like, you know, I mean, that thought makes me kind of like sick, like to think that there is another person out there who could be me. And you know what? I believe there are different. I mean, I'm like you with this. My thought pattern on this is like, I'm totally out there, and because we don't know, do we?
No.
So how can you discount it?
There you go. But
so
watch the film.
Watch the film. If you can watch the film, let us know what you think about it. I mean, it was a recommendation from Duval, and I was like, coherence? What the hell? But I would definitely watch the film. But now I think we can safely move on to kind of Han or Han.
Well, that's actually it's funny because in the film that came up, didn't it? But I say Han Solo. That's what I say.
Yeah, Han. Although he does kind of like correct, like, you know, someone on there. So here we've got Han or Han Solo, depending on, you know, what you like. Directed by Ron Howard. It stars Emilia Clarke, who you and I and listeners out there will know from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
So we've got Khaleesi. Unfortunately, she's not riding dragons in this one.
More like the Millennium Falcon.
She's definitely riding something. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
You put it out there.
I'm sorry. Please don't complain. Come on. Okay, so Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, and newcomer Alden. Let me try and get this right. His name is Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Okay, so what has this guy been in?
He's been in Beautiful Creatures. I think that came out in 2013 or so.
Okay.
He's also been in a Coen Brothers film called Hail Caesar, which also starred Josh Brolin and a few other people. Yes, George Clooney as well. So he's an up and coming. I wouldn't say star yet, but he's an up-and-coming actor who I'm sure one day will be, you know, a megastar. But
All right. So, you know, he landed the role of, you know, Han Solo. And let's face it, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's going to be big news about who they'll get to play Han Solo, because obviously the whole backstory, the whole kind of history of Star Wars going back to the 70s, you want to have a character or an actor who plays that role and who does it justice. So we'll speak about that in a moment. But I just wanted to kind of touch upon, you know, we spoke earlier on about the creative differences in this movie. Like Disney are not averse to getting rid of directors, and this happened a couple of years ago on Rogue One.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, famously, it was directed by Gareth Edwards,
Yeah.
who directed one of my favorite films, Monsters. I
yeah.
love that movie. And what happened was it wasn't working out. So the film had been kind of, a lot of the film had been made, and Kathleen Kennedy, who I think is the head of like Disney or
Yeah.
Sony or
President or something like
one of
that.
those,
Yeah.
they brought in someone else.
Hold on. No. Hold on. Go back a second.
Yeah.
Because I've always thought Gareth Edwards was the person that made or directed Rogue One. Are you trying to say someone else came in and finished the job?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
So what happened was, and if you notice on the credits, there's a guy, I think it's Tony Gilroy. I want to say Tony Gilroy, but if you read up on this, you know, I did kind of like read up on this, and I remember this from before. He had to reshoot a lot of the film, and it was basically because Gareth, I think what they felt was that he wasn't making their vision.
Okay.
So this is where I think the creative differences does come in.
Wow.
But what it shows is, don't mess around with Disney. Don't mess around with, you know, with their baby, which the Star Wars is worth billions to them. So don't forget. So it happened in Rogue One, and again it happened with Han Solo. So originally directed by Phil
Lord and Christopher Miller.
That is it.
Yeah.
Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, who I'm not sure if you remember, they directed the Lego Movie.
Yep.
And the theory goes, or the story goes, is they were making it into too much of a comedy.
Yeah.
So they'd filmed 80% of the movie.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's basically it's their movie. Like, you know, they've
That's
got,
a lot.
you know, they've put their stamp on it. And then Disney, they just turned around and said, "Hey, look, stop.
Yeah.
We got to shut this shit down." They'd been filming for about 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, and then they just said, "No, this isn't what we want. We need to kind of just like turn this off right now." And then they issued a statement saying, "Hey, look, you know what? We loved working with the actors, and it truly was creative differences." So I think in terms of vision, I get it. Maybe they did have a different vision to Disney.
Yeah.
And by that time, when they brought on Ron Howard, they had to reshoot the movie, they had to rewrite the movie, parts of it. And then in the end, it turned out to be something like they spent $250 million on the movie. So it's a huge
It will make
movie.
it back. I mean, you know what it's like with Star Wars and Disney, so
Definitely.
Yeah,
So,
they'll be okay.
so where are we now with the whole kind of Han? Like, where do we start off?
Well, first of all, we're not going to do any spoilers for now. That will come a bit later. So we're just going to talk about the film, the plot, the story, the characters, and so on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said at the start, Han Solo is one of the most endearing and well-loved characters in all of Star Wars. I mean, more people wanted to be him more than Luke Skywalker or you know, Darth Vader or whoever. You know, they wanted to be Han Solo. He was the guy.
Absolutely.
So it's a big task trying to fill his boots. It's a big task trying to create a movie with his name on the title.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I saw the film a couple of days ago, and it was a good ride. It was a good ride. There are parts of it I'll go into that, you know, did like or didn't like and so on, but I think overall it was a good ride.
So let's just kind of speak about this. Is he a good? Do you think he's a great Han Solo, or do you think he needs maybe one more movie just to kind of make it his own?
I think, I mean, the actor Alden Ehrenreich, again, part of the problems that we've heard through the grapevine or wherever, you know, apart from the directors and so on, there was rumors that they also had to bring in an acting coach. I don't know
why that makes me laugh.
Laughing. I can't act, so I need a coach.
I know you can't act.
I can't even barely talk. So, but yeah, there were rumors that they had to bring in an acting coach to, I guess, polish up his performances.
Right.
But saying that, the performance that he gave, I think it's a good performance. I think in my head, I wasn't expecting him to be Han Solo.
Okay.
So I told myself that before I saw the film.
And is that because he hasn't evolved into that character that he's going to become?
Exactly. It's so hard filling the boots of a major character.
Absolutely.
I didn't expect him to be Harrison Ford, but a younger version. I just expected him to be similar to him.
Yeah.
And a lot of his mannerisms, the way he shoots his laser with his hand, and
Yeah.
the way he runs, and his quirky, facial expressions and so on.
Yeah.
I actually thought he'd done a good job.
Okay.
So yeah, he done a good job.
And like, you mentioned about the whole acting thing. Is that because, do you think it's because Disney or the producers, the directors, they demand a particular type of performance, or was it because, do you think he just couldn't reach that? He wasn't, hitting those notes, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm not an insider, so I can only speculate at this point. But I think that obviously with the production problems, changing directors and so on, with change of director comes a change of style.
Absolutely.
So they could have been, okay, this is what you've been doing so far, let's change it up. He may have been so used to doing it a certain way, then maybe I had to bring someone else in to refresh his delivery. But I also think possibly they could have wanted him to be Han Solo in every way, shape or form.
Right.
So I think maybe they themselves wanted him to imitate Harrison Ford in such a way.
And would that have worked?
That's the thing. I mean, you can only go so far, because as much as he can imitate Harrison Ford, even in his look and his delivery,
Yeah.
he can never be Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
You can never get that feel back.
Totally.
But I think he did do a good job.
I have to say one thing. As I was watching the film, as the film rolled up, I couldn't help think of the actor from Star Trek,
Which actor?
Chris
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine.
Okay.
Oh my god! I was
Captain
thinking
Kirk.
Captain James T. Kirk. I was thinking, why am I thinking about him? Why am I thinking about the guy from Wonder Woman? It's like, hang on a second. And there was this kind of, there was definitely kind of like a similarity. I mean, maybe it was the way that kind of Chris Pine, he delivered those James T. Kirk, that roguishness, that
Yeah.
kind of that cheekiness. So I just kind of had him in my head, but then as the film went on, then I kind of grew into the character. So let's start off. It starts off in where we see Han Solo, and he has, is it his girlfriend? Is it his partner? Is it his wife?
I think at that stage they're probably close friends or girlfriend, I would say.
Yeah.
On Corellia. That's his home planet, I believe. And yeah, they seem to be hustlers of some sort. So I think they're like a Bonnie and Clyde type,
Yeah.
arrangement kind of thing.
Definitely.
So,
and it had this kind of Mad Max and the Thunderdome kind of like vibe to it, where it was just like grimy, dirty, dark, seedy, really kind of like an industrial type of place. And clearly you could see it's like, and I think one of the characters alludes to it being like kind of like a shithole, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've got Han, and I think her character's name, Emilia Clarke's character is Kira.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so you've got Han and you've got Kira. They're smuggling, or they're stealing something, or they're doing something, and that's where the adventure begins, basically. So
they're trying to get a what's it called? The coaxum, I think, the energy source that they can sell to. I guess their ticket out of there. They want a better life.
Yeah.
So
and I think that it's just kind of, it's really interesting, that kind of thought about, even in a galaxy far, far away, there's people who are trying to make a better life for themselves, and I think that fits in with his kind of character arc, where when we see Han Solo, like later on from Star Wars, A New Hope and everything, where he's this kind of, the smuggler, this kind of this bandit, if you will. So
he's a bit of a Star-Lord, isn't he?
He is, isn't he?
Star-Lord's a bit of a him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a bit of a rebel. He's bad, but not too bad.
Exactly.
And he's good, but not too good. He's somewhere in between.
He's got this roguish type of character. But it was interesting to see that Emilia Clarke, so Khaleesi's in the film, from the get-go, she's there.
Yeah.
She is kind of like, the love interest, if you can call it love interest. I mean, possibly not, but definitely kind of there is this sort of character that he has. So the movie starts off in that way, where we see his hometown, and we're not. I mean, we won't spoil like what happened, but there's something that happens in the movie where he has to leave, or
Yeah.
he gets out of.
They're separated.
They get separated,
Yeah.
and I think that is kind of I've seen that in a lot of movies as well.
yeah.
With the lovers where they get separated, and I thought to myself, okay, so
I'll find you.
I'll come back to you. I'll pick you up, and we'll go to Mars. But and when that bit happened in the movie, I thought to myself, that's not the end of Emilia Clarke.
No.
Definitely, of course not. Because how can you have
He's
this
not going to
huge
give up on
star?
her. Yeah, I think that just gave him the motivation, and that I guess that was the beginning of his story.
Yeah. Okay. One question: what is Hans? What was the motivation for the makers or the producers, the directors of the film to give him this origin, this kind of his surname?
I think because we were introduced to Han Solo, A New Hope, episode 3. Is that, I think?
Yeah.
I get lost in the episodes.
I know.
But so we got introduced to a character who Episode 4, sorry, yeah. We got introduced to a character who was already fully developed. He had a history, he had a past, he was a character, he was interesting. And I think looking back on it, Disney felt like, okay, we can flesh this out. There's lots of talk of him doing the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. There's lots of talk of him winning the Millennium Falcon in that card game, Sabacc. There's talk of him smuggling this, smuggling that, and clashing with different enemies and so on. So there's a lot of backstory that can be fleshed out, which is why I think he was a good character to create a movie from.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not sure if the right word is cheesy, but they kind of there's a scene in there where he obviously they get separated, and
I know what you're gonna say.
I was like, okay, is this bad writing or is this why is
There's
this?
a few moments of cheese in this film.
There is a lot of cheese.
There's a couple of moments.
There's a couple of moments of cheese in this, and I'm not sure whether I feel a bit conscious of us like talking about it, or shall we wait and speak about that kind of like a bit towards the end. But basically, he gets he leaves. He gets separated from Kira, and he joins the
Empire.
The Empire. So can you believe it? Han Solo. He joins the Empire because he wants to be this fantastic pilot.
Yeah.
He's got a dream of becoming this pilot. And the only way for him to do this is by becoming like a soldier, basically.
Yeah.
So then we am I allowed to say this? We fast forward.
Oh yeah?
Oh, I've just said it. So he becomes a soldier, and he's fighting against
the rebels.
The rebels,
think, yeah.
So that could be a huge shock to people, where he's fighting the rebels, and what happens next?
So I think that's when he's introduced to his new friends, who are Woody Harrelson's character and I can't remember her name, Thandie Newton.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and so we've seen them in the trailers, so we know we know who they are. But he comes across them, and he becomes friendly, and they I guess formulate a plan and so on, and I guess that the story develops in that way. But they are rebels with a cause, but their causes they're aligned, but not aligned fully because they have their own goals.
Right.
But they want to work together to at least get over one hurdle before they can go their separate ways.
Right.
So that's where that alliance is forged.
Okay, so here's my question for you before we start talking about kind of like the ins and outs of the film. Does it work for you as a Star Wars? Like this is part of the anthology, right? So it started off with Rogue One. We've got Han Solo, and there's going to be definitely a third one.
Yeah.
So does it work? Does it fit into the whole kind of this whole anthology of Star Wars stories?
It does. If you really like, do the Spider-Gram or whatever, the timeline of the Star Wars films, because I think this film sits in between Return of the Sith, I believe. Return of the Sith. No, it sits between. Return of the Sith, Rogue One, and A New Hope. So it's between. Yeah, it's what after happens in Rogue One, and it's before New Hope.
Okay.
So that's where it sits in the timeline. But I think, apart from that, it's Star Wars, but it isn't, if you know what
Okay.
I mean. I mean, there are a few things that happen, especially towards the end, which we won't spoil right now,
Yeah.
that are, oh my gosh, like, this is very much Star Wars. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, what's going on here? You know,
Yeah.
it's really pleasing to see. But apart from that, this film could have not been a Star Wars film and still been as enjoyable.
Okay, I get you.
If you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I totally get what you're saying there. So if you just took away the Han Solo name and the whole Star Wars
It
history,
could have been anything else, because
Yeah.
at least with Rogue One, it was an anthology film, but the story was aligned with the plot of Star Wars and
Star
the Death
Wars,
Star
yeah.
and getting the plans and so on. So it was aligned with everything else.
yeah, so it's definitely connected.
Yeah, whereas this film, without ruining any more of the story, I mean, it's not aligned in the same way.
Yeah,
It works, but it can still work without being a Star Wars film. To be honest,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and I 100% agree with you there. And for me, there's a couple of things that I'll talk about the things that I kind of liked. I like the nods, the small little nods to
Yeah.
the kind of Star Wars universe. For
Okay.
example, the dice.
yeah.
You know, and that is a nod to the episode 4. There's a bit in there where he gets given the gun,
Oh yeah, yep.
and that's the famous gun. I mean, you know, growing up, like, you know, in the 80s, where you would see Harrison Ford, you know, with the space gun,
Yeah.
like whatever it is, and it's that same gun that he's
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
So I thought that was kind of like a cool little touch in there.
There were also a couple more. You know, there's a, without spoiling, there's a hiding place within the Millennium Falcon,
Yeah,
which again is given in this film.
Yeah.
And you see, you know, this hiding place is being used for many things within the ship.
yeah, definitely.
That was a good nod as well.
And I thought there was another nod was the monster chess.
The what?
The hologram monsters when they
Oh,
play
yes,
chess.
of course.
I don't know
Yes,
what
yes,
it's called.
yes, yeah.
Like
That game.
that game. It's just like, I want that game. Like, buy me one, please, Duval, for my birthday.
Okay.
So you've got these kind of like little nods. And what I liked was, you know, like in some films when you know that clearly a director has taken over, I couldn't see where the disjoint was.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. I think that's actually really, really good. It was, I did find it a bit slow in the kind of, slow in parts and some cheesy parts in the beginning, but I thought the direction was, you know, Ron Howard is an Oscar winner.
He
Like,
is,
He
yeah,
won for
yeah.
A Beautiful Mind. So, you know, and he's made like, you know, big films before.
Yeah.
So he's not scared of kind of taking it places.
No. Also, the writer, Lawrence Kasdan, he wrote
God,
Empire Strikes Back, which is, well, I wouldn't say arguably, most people agree it's the best Star Wars
It
film
is, yeah.
ever made. Return of the Jedi, Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Which
so
I
again,
love.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
But also he's known for westerns. So if you got the western vibe in this film, and I mean he done Silverado, Wyatt Earp,
Which
but also
Wyatt Earp is one of my favourite films.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, one of
Oh,
my
okay, there
favourite
you
Western
go.
films. Yeah.
But there's a lot of Western tropes in this film, which I'm sure Lawrence Kasdan really loves. The Bodyguard.
Oh my!
I had no idea
I had
he
no
wrote
idea.
that film. So yeah, Lawrence Kasdan he knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
he carries across all those ingredients.
And now I can kind of see where you have filmmakers like Phil Lord,
And Christopher Miller clashing.
because they come from, like, if you compare the Lego Movie,
Yeah,
so, you know, with that sensibility and the whole kind of Western, you know, the whole that genre, so you can probably see the reason why there was a
yeah.
clash. So I get
and you
that.
can understand why Star Wars won that clash.
Exactly. Yeah. So in terms of an action movie, I liked that there's so many, like, you know, there are cool bits in there. Like as a film, as a Star Wars fan, I think people will definitely love it because they've got nods to the Star Wars universe. They've got this, you know, they've got amazing, like, new creatures, new characters, like the special effects,
Yeah, new planets.
and I think kind of there are, I don't want to say throwaway, but almost throwaway characters where you see them in the film, you don't care if they survive or not, or you know that they're in this film because we might not see them again, but Han Solo is the main one. This is the reason why people are there to
Yeah.
kind of like see the movie.
Yeah. Also, I mean, as well as Han Solo, I think Chewie as well.
Oh, sorry.
is like he's He's massive, not just in stature, but he's so loved throughout the Star Wars
and we see
universe.
Chewie doing a lot more.
He steps up and he gets his screen time for once.
He does, doesn't he? That Wookiee is like, you know what, he kills it in this one, I think.
He does.
And then you see the relationship build up between Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And maybe a part of me thinks to myself, could they have made more of that relationship where it becomes this buddy movie between Han and Chewie? Maybe they might explore that more.
Possibly, who knows?
In the next film. So as a movie, comparing it to kind of Rogue One, what would you say?
You know what? I still prefer Rogue One, you know? I don't know what it is. I really like that film. It
was darker.
Yeah, I don't know, it was a good film. It shocked me. It was just different, but good in so many ways.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. If you're comparing these standalone movies, like away from the whole Star Wars kind of like, you know, episodes, you know, 1 to 9 now, 1 to 8, I think Rogue One definitely hit a nerve, and people were like, this is fantastic, this is brilliant, you know what, give us more of this. And in terms of the tone, it doesn't. I don't think Han Solo does. This is lighter. This is kind of like, you know, a journey, because he's not that type of a darker character just yet, I don't think.
No.
So they had to kind of make it lighter, I think.
It's safer, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's safer.
I think it's going to take shitloads of money at the box office.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a Star Wars movie. But I wouldn't say it's an instant classic.
No.
You know.
What would you give it if you were to rate it, though?
That is a really tough question. I would give it, so if we had a scale of Jabba the Hutts, right? So imagine if we had a scale of Jabba the Hutts, right?
Yeah.
And 10 Jabba the Hutts is like, you know, absolutely amazing. I'd probably give this one 6.5.
That's exactly what I was going to give it.
Yeah.
I think it deserves a 6.5. It's not a bad movie by any stretch, but it's not the best. When I watch it again, I wouldn't rush to watch it again.
Exactly.
But I would watch it again.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. But
yeah. I mean, there's a couple of things in it which are definitely, I think we can speak about it now, right?
Oh, so are we going into the spoilers now? Yeah.
I mean, in terms of kind of like what type of a movie is, it's a Star Wars movie. It's got a character who we all know. Well, I know about, and obviously Star Wars fans will know about. But if you're not a Star Wars fan, will people like this?
I think they would relate to it from an anti-hero perspective, Western perspective, sort of character. And I think a lot of people have heard of Han Solo, and they may not even know he's a Star Wars person. So I think whether they relate to the person, yes or no, I'm not too sure, but they will be able to get on board in some kind of way.
I got a feeling like diehard fans might be a little upset with this film.
I think that could be true. I know some diehard fans that haven't even seen it yet.
Why is that because they think it's going to be like it's too light-hearted, or it's too?
The recent slate of Star Wars films has brought them to the conclusion that this may not be that good, so they're not going to rush to see it. I think they will see it, but they're not going to rush.
And I can't believe we totally forgot this. We're introduced to obviously like other people in other characters in the movie. Obviously Emilia Clarke plays Kira. She hasn't been in any of the Star Wars films before. I think there was she in a game?
I don't know. Maybe, possibly.
Possibly she was kind of like, but she wasn't in the Clone Wars or anything like that, right?
No. Well, as a character, I don't recall. But
okay.
Sometimes you have little cameos and so on. So I don't think so. No.
Yeah. I did like what they did with Emilia Clarke's character by the end of the movie.
Okay.
Because.
Okay, we're going to spoilers now.
Right, okay.
Okay, guys, this is it now. So if you haven't seen the film and you don't want to know any more, you need to pause and come back when you've seen the film. You've got the warning. That's it now. Spoiler heavy. Let's bring it on.
Okay, so Deval, number 1, Lando Calrissian.
The administrator of this facility.
I thought he was, this cool cat, the way he's just kind of like, when we're introduced to him, they're playing the game of, what is it called again? Sabacc. And Donald Glover. Where have we seen Donald Glover in? This
is America. This is America. I don't know why I done that. And also Atlanta. He's been in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I've not got enough of I can't even mention everything he's been in. He's been in so many things. He's so talented. Director, writer, producer.
And I didn't know this. He's famous for posting stuff up on
YouTube. Yeah,
on YouTube.
When YouTube was quite new, actually.
Yeah. So we've got Donald Glover. He's obviously Lando Calrissian. I thought they were going to have I thought he was going to have a bit more. He's got a chunky role in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason,
I wanted more.
A lot
of people wanted more as well, because
and I was like,
this is the only time you're really going to see that character, Lando Calrissian, and I think a lot of people I expected a bit more.
Definitely.
But I guess his name isn't in the title, so they gave us Han Solo more, really.
Yeah. So in terms of kind of like talking about specifics of the movie, after Han he gets separated, his name, come on,
I know it's cheesy.
It's like I got to talk about his name.
I was thinking, okay, because he goes to a passport control section, and the guy's stamping his, well, not a passport, but he's stamping his card or whatever, and he says, "What's your name?" Han. "What's your surname?" "I don't have one." You need a surname. So the guy thinks, what does he say? "Are you here alone?" or something? Yeah. No, Han Solo says, "I've always been alone. I've got no people," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the guy says, "You got no people. You're always alone. So you're solo." I thought, okay, he's going to say it, but I thought maybe Han Solo will say something to interrupt it, or something will happen. I didn't think we're actually going to get that cheesy delivery, but we did.
I just couldn't believe it. So, like, you're absolutely right. They're at some passport control, and the way they just dropped that line in there, I just like, oh, come on. Is that the writers? What is this? Like, where does this come from? Yeah. Why did they kind of just do that? But I mean, that was one slice of cheese, kind of like, there were kind of like a few other slices of cheese that I noticed, but I did like Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, yeah, he's a really good character.
He's a really good character.
You can tell that Han Solo tried to even imitate him and copy him, the way he slings his gun and stuff like that.
And there's a bit in there where he says, "Oh, can you show me how to do that?" That type of thing. And you can imagine him being this father type figure to him, where he learns from him, and then he might take parts of his persona. Yeah. Into kind of like, into the future as well. So he becomes this soldier. He meets Woody Harrelson, who is also he's basically like a bandit. He's like a thief.
He's an outlaw.
Yeah. He pretends to be kind of like a soldier as well. And then there's a scene in the film where he gets captured.
Han Solo gets captured. Yeah, because they're on a battlefield, and I think Han Solo's not taking orders or something like that with Woody Harrelson's group. Somehow he gets found out. Han Solo gets captured, and the general says, "Oh, lock him up, or send him down to the Beast." Yeah. And they throw him into the dungeon. I think that always happens in Star Wars films. If you notice, they get captured and
Luke
they get thrown into like a dungeon with a monster.
Yeah.
It's happened in, I think, nearly all the Star Wars films. It happened in Return of the Jedi, when you had to kill that creature. And
I think they have to kind of write that in there, like it becomes part of it. But when they said the Beast, I thought it was going to be like a huge beast.
Me too.
But it turns out it's Chewie.
Yeah, I really felt sorry for Chewie when I saw him chained up. All his L'Oreal hair was all muddy, and
his Soul Glow hair was like
Soul Glow. It'd be interesting if they put Chewbacca in like a shampoo advert.
That would be amazing.
I would buy it. I ain't got any hair, but I'll buy the shampoo.
Is it the same? Now, maybe you might know this, but is it the same actor?
No, I heard it's a different actor.
Oh, it's a different actor. Okay, so it's a younger. Yeah, because I think Peter. I want to say Peter Mayhew, who was the original Chewie. Maybe I'm not sure his age. Getting on a bit maybe, because this version of Chewie is physical.
Yeah, he is.
He's definitely physical in this, and there's a fight scene between Chewie and Han. And Han. I kind of just thought to myself, hang on.
It was safe, because Chewbacca was never going to kill him.
Yeah.
He could have killed him, but he just didn't.
But they alluded to him being this beast who hasn't eaten for 3 days. And there is a bit in there where Chewie kind of tries to strangle him.
Yeah.
And we learn in the film that Han can speak
Oh my, that was so
can speak
cheesy.
Wookiee.
How the heck is he? And he's actually going.
So to listeners out there, Chewie is strangling Han, and his voice starts turning into like Wookiee, whatever language, like, you know, and then Chewbacca turns around and says, "Can you do it, bro? Go on, give it a go."
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Okay, so we'll try. At the end of the show, we'll give it a go. So you've got this fight scene, and then Chewie and Han they break out, and the reason why Han wants to break out is because Woody Harrelson and Tandy Newton they're on a mission.
Yeah, they're leaving the base.
They're leaving the base, and Han wants to join them.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want to be like a soldier anymore. And
yeah,
come on, he's not like, you know, the villain, is he?
No,
So,
he wants to get back to Kira, who's on Corellia still.
Yeah.
So that's his main goal.
that's his mission. And sorry, we kind of forgot to mention this takes place 3 years later.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So he got separated from Kira 3 years later. This is all happening. So Woody Harrelson kind of like changes his mind a bit and says, okay, we'll take this new kid. We'll take the Wookiee and we'll take Han. Maybe they can help us out. Tandy Newton is about, she's like...
she's quite apprehensive, isn't she?
Yeah, she's like, do we need another guy? Like, you know, so they work out that they do need him. And then this whole relationship starts to develop between Han, between Chewie, between Woody Harrelson's character.
And the other character, I can't remember his name, but he's played by Jon Favreau. And he's a CG character. He's got four arms.
Was it Jon Favreau?
Jon Favreau, Iron Man director, and
couldn't believe it.
Couples Retreat, that comedy.
Oh my god, that was terrible. It's just like, I know you liked that film, didn't you?
That film.
I know you liked it. But Jon Favreau, I mean, obviously listeners will know Jon Favreau is like Iron Man. He's Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, he's Marvel through and through. He started the whole thing with Iron Man back in 2008. So he voices this character, which I didn't know about that one. So thanks for sharing that one. So they're on this mission, and the mission is to steal
Coaxium. It's a rare energy, a precious and expensive energy source.
Okay, and it's quite dangerous as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's volatile, very volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't treat this properly, or if it's not kept at the right temperature, this thing's going to explode.
Yeah.
So they're on this mission, and for the next kind of like half an hour of the film, we see this mission take place where there's kind of like danger. There is a sense of danger, and you know, we don't know if they're going to succeed or not.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that they didn't succeed, because it just would have been too easy then.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of, and we need something for them to fight for. Like,
exactly.
You know, in any story, you need this kind of character arc where.
But they almost do, and I think one of the best parts of the film for me was the train heist, which is very Western-ish as well.
Absolutely,
because the train, even the look of the train looked like an old school steam train, but it was on these monorail type things, and it had two ends to it. Yeah, so it was very futuristic, but it was like classic train heist in Western times, and they planned quite well, but another group.
The Marauders,
I think that's their name. Yeah, the other group came and got involved and scuppered their plans, and that's where Tandy's character met her demise. Yeah,
so she kind of we see her kind of like fall away, and Woody Harrelson, he's kind of upset about that. But then, you know what? It does move the story forward. So then you've just now got Woody Harrelson, you got Han Solo, and you got Chewbacca, and they realise that they need to find some how do you say coaxium?
Yeah.
Because Woody Harrelson was trying to steal this coaxium and give it to someone else. Yeah. Who we then later find out is
Vision.
Believe it or not.
I can't remember his name.
Paul Bettany.
No, the character's name. Oh. He's got a really is it Proxima something or?
You know, when I saw his face, so for listeners, I thought, you know what? Does this person turn out to be the Emperor?
Oh, okay.
I thought, could he turn out to be? But no, it was just kind of, he doesn't turn out to be the Emperor. But what we find is Paul Bettany's character, is part of what's called a syndicate. So he's
not the lottery syndicate.
not the National Lottery Syndicate, unfortunately.
okay.
Yeah, so this is kind of like these are gangsters basically.
Yeah.
So and Paul Bettany is part of this outfit. And Woody Harrelson was supposed to steal the coaxium for Paul Bettany, which now he doesn't have.
Yep.
So he has to kind of ask for forgiveness, and we are introduced to
reintroduced to
Kira,
who is working with Paul Bettany's character and is very comfortably aligned with him. I don't know if they're romantically involved or what, but they're quite close.
Yeah, I almost got the feeling like
I've got the feeling that he's her boss, but he's one of those seedy, dirty bosses who, when he wants to, he can dominate his subordinate. And the way because she seems very uncomfortable around him when he gets too close, but then she can't say anything.
And we don't know, because it's 3 years later.
Yeah, we don't know what's happened.
We don't know what's happened. And there's a line in the film where Paul Bettany, he delivers, he says, "Oh, you don't know what she's capable of."
Yeah, she's done some things in those 3 years.
So I think all that stuff will eventually come out.
Yeah.
Maybe in the second part, I'm not too sure, but we kind of get a hint of what she's capable of. So Han, he meets Kira, and he's like, hey, like, what the hell are you doing here? And she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And they kind of fall back into this whole kind of, the past, like, the relationship that they had. She obviously has feelings for him. He wanted to do all this to go back to Corellia.
Yeah. But she's a bit reserved in her expression of those feelings, because he's all over her and she's a bit like, okay, hold on a second. But you can tell she still likes him, but it's almost like she's thinking, okay, work first. I've got a job to do. So there's something in the back of her head the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Han Solo, he just loves her, doesn't he?
Yeah, he loves her, and he obviously wants, because he in his mind he thinks that she was still on Corellia, and she's that same person.
Yeah.
But obviously 3 years have passed, and a lot of shit's gone down, and she's probably done things that she probably didn't want to do, but she had to do them to survive.
Yeah.
So moving the story forward, Paul Bettany says, "Look, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you."
He doesn't mess about, does he?
He doesn't, and he looks quite scary.
Well, those scars on his face, and it was quite subtle, but when he got angry or he got really crazy, the scars
they
opened up.
Yeah,
they sort of lit up or opened up like gills or something. It was a bit weird. I don't know.
I thought. I mean, Paul Bettany, he's a great actor, and whatever he does, he's really good at. So seeing him in this, I thought, oh my god, like, is he going to turn into like a future villain? Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Let's find out. So there's a point where he's going to shoot, or he's going to kill Chewie, Han, and Woody Harrelson, but then they kind of turn it around. They say, hey, look, we can get you some coaxium.
Yeah, unrefined. I think they say. Yeah.
We can go to another planet. We can get this unrefined coaxium. We can bring it back to you. We can get paid, and then you can then pass it on to whoever you need to pass it on.
Yeah.
And Paul Bettany is like, okay, I'm going to give you one more chance, but you have to take Kira with you.
Yeah.
And Han is like, yeah, baby, I'll take that any day. Like, so I can be back with. But you're right. She was a bit reserved.
Yeah.
So obviously she knows, she's not sure whether or not this is like a good thing or a bad thing. So there we are, and we're hitting kind of like the midway through the midway point of the movie right now. And then Chewie, Han, Woody, Kira, they go off on this mission to steal the unrefined coaxium.
Yeah. But they need a ship, because the place they're going to get it from involves going through the Kessel parts, the Kessel, the
part
Kessel
of the universe, and they need a spaceship that is, number one, is going to be fast, that can withstand going through all these things, and there's only one person in the universe who has a ship like that, who is
Lando Calrissian.
And now would probably be a really good time to play a clip.
How'd you guys let me beat you on that one? Come on. There's no liars in this game. Just players.
The seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat that I ain't taking from.
So this is Sabak?
Sabak.
Sabak. Got it.
You played before?
A couple times, yeah.
Captain Lando Calrissian.
Han Solo. Looks like you're having a good day.
I'm a lucky guy.
Can I ask you a question, Captain Calrissian?
Anything, Han?
It's Han, but that's okay. I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
In that clip, we kind of introduced to Lando Calrissian and the kind of dynamic between Han and Lando. You know, they've got this from episode 4. We know that
they got history.
They've got history.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess we get to see that history unfold. For me, that was when I was thinking, oh, okay, let's see what this card game's about. Let's see, how they interact, because I mean, for them, that's the first time they met each other, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Kira, she knew him already.
Yeah.
'Cause when they met,
they hug each other,
they
they
hug, and
kiss,
she's like, she said something. She said, what did she say? She complimented him in a way. I said how he always looks good or something like that, or something.
Yeah, so definitely like they know each other.
Yeah.
And you'd probably say, yeah, he's probably kind of like a bit jealous, or
Do you reckon he's
bit,
hit that?
Well, I mean, you know what?
Do you
It's probably
reckon
hard. Well, she does say something, and then Han cuts her off, doesn't? Yeah. So they kind of allude to something.
I reckon he has.
Yeah,
I
possibly.
reckon.
Yeah. But
apologies for the way I said that. It's just I know this is Lando Calrissian we're talking
Exactly.
about. That's how he'll say it.
And like his capes and like the way he dresses, he's just cool, isn't he?
Yeah.
This guy is just like a cool cat. So we meet Lando. So
I think they used the fact that they've got a big job, and if Lando still helps them with their job, he'll get a cut. So I think that's how they sort of got him to get on board.
Yeah. So Lando's going to get a cut out of the kind of mission as well, and it's kind of important that Lando is on board as well, because his droid has
L3.
L3. Who tell me, who is this played by?
I don't know.
Is this
who is it? I don't know who it is.
The one from Game of Thrones? Gwendolyn.
It's not her. No. It's got to be someone else.
Okay,
we'll find out.
We're definitely going to find out. Yeah. So we've got Lando on board now, and his droid L3. They're on board the Millennium Falcon, and Han's face, as soon as he gets on board the ship, his face lights up. He's like, oh my god, I love this ship, like these buttons, and he knows everything about it. And we learn a bit of history of Han, where he says his dad used to make these ships.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting to kind of have like a bit of a backstory. And then you've got Lando's droid has like the best navigational system like in the universe. So she's really important for them to get to this planet where the unrefined coaxium is, because they need to travel through the I can't remember what
Kessel.
The Kessel.
It's
this dangerous part of the universe where there's dust particles, where there's planets colliding with each other, things are exploding, and if you don't have the right navigational system to tell you where to go,
you just won't make it.
And one of the funniest things, L3 was a funny character actually. I have to admit.
L3 was even though she is an android, she's probably one of the most her humanity is so apparent compared to anyone else on the crew.
I mean, she kind of talks about rights.
Yeah, equal rights and
wants
freedom and
equal rights for androids, for kind of like for devices like her basically. And there's a whole kind of running gag, through her segment is where she wants to kind of free droids, where she's not a slave basically, which I thought was really kind of interesting. The way they played with that. So they get onto this planet, they find the refined coaxium, and they knock a few people out, and Chewie, he meets people of his tribe.
Yeah, he does.
He meets other Wookiees.
Yeah. And there's a moment where he's got an opportunity to escape with Han Solo and the rest of them. But as he sees his people being, they're being abused and they're being beat up, he sort of has that moment of, okay, should I stay and help my people, or should I go? And he stays and he helps his people, and Han Solo throws him like a spear
like
to go and
like a spear, exactly.
to go and help, and he goes back and helps, and that's where you get a bit more Chewbacca. You see, he cares for his people. He'll do anything to help his people, and he does. And he goes and frees them, and he beats up a few goons along the way.
Yeah, he throws a few people around, and
he does his move. Actually, you see it in the trailer, but he does a move like a wrestling move where he picks up this guy, and he throws him on the ground on his neck. Ooh, you can imagine he's
kind of
he's
pummels
dead
him.
after that.
Amidst all this, L3 started a rebellion.
Do you remind me of Korg in Ragnarok, with the rebellion of freeing people?
Yeah, so
L3 played by, I found the name now, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I've looked.
What?
Yeah.
Has she been in anything?
She has been in a few things, but nothing, massive.
Okay.
Well, for me, yes, massive, because I've been in nothing. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, she hasn't been in many huge films, but she's an up and coming.
She's an up and coming
star, I would say, from London as well.
Okay, fantastic. So for the life of me, I just thought this is Gwendolyn. This is like
It
from
sounded
Game
a
of
bit
Thrones.
like her. I thought so as well.
Yeah.
Originally.
But she was in. She voiced one of the Imperial.
Oh, in The Force Awakens.
The Force
She
Awakens.
was the silver. The silver. Soldier.
Soldier, yeah. So L3 has instigated, or she started this kind of rebellion where she's unlocked all the androids, and they've started to think for themselves now, basically,
Yeah.
and the whole planet is just like being overrun. The slaves, they are basically freed. They start fighting back. So there's a huge commotion, and within this commotion, Han is able to get the canisters. There's kind of like a little bit of a fight, and Lando's there. He's shooting.
Yep.
She's beating
She's throwing
people up.
grenades and stuff.
So you've kind of got this huge action scene, and in terms of kind of like how it's all been put together, I mean, it was good.
It was good. It was emotional because remember L3. That's where she also meets her demise.
She
gets
does.
shot or blown up, and Lando Calrissian, who she belongs to, he comes running, forgets
He's like,
where he is.
"No!"
Yeah, he goes running for her, tries to pick her up, and she comes apart. She only her head and her shoulders,
Yeah.
I think. So then he carries what's left of her onto the ship, and they all sort of get away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene there was quite emotional because
It was.
I mean, he was crying over an android.
I see. This is it. This is what I was like. Oh my god! Like he's really attached to L3.
Yeah,
So yeah, just seeing the way he reacted to her death was kind of like interesting. So they get away, but she's not dead. As in, they're able to kind of upload her memory or her navigational system into the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So she's there.
Yeah.
She becomes part of the ship.
yeah, that's right. And it's another nod to past Star Wars films. And the Millennium Falcon, there's been moments where they've said, "Oh, this ship has got a mind of her own." And and he calls her she and stuff like that, and now we understand why he calls her she, and why the ship is a bit temperamental at times and does things in its own time and stuff like that. So now we understand.
It's L3 because L3 becomes part of the ship, and she was this android who did have a mind of her own, which was like fantastic. So then now there's no L3, so obviously Han and Lando, he's injured.
He's injured. Yeah,
He can't fly the Millennium Falcon, so now it's up to Han to get them out of there.
Yep.
And the way they have to get out of there is through this Kessler.
Yeah, the Kessel run.
The Kessel.
Yeah.
He's got to do the Kessel run.
Yeah, and I think before they go in there, because they're looking at options and into how to get away. Lando Calrissian says, "Oh no, the Kessel run can't be done in anything less than 20 or 25 parsecs."
Yeah,
and parsecs are. It's a unit of distance, like I don't know, like kilometers or miles or whatever it may be. So doing it in the least distance as possible is the best way to get through it.
Right.
And for him to say it can't be done in any less than 20 or 25 parsecs, and if Han Solo is able to do it in 12, I mean, come on.
This is like, So I think this is where that and this kind of obviously plays into the, you know, later on in episode 4 and onwards, where this line is, I did the Kessler run in 12 parsecs. So
he's known for it.
Exactly.
He's literally, but also, I mean, the actual journey of the Kessel Run. I mean, we see that big like octopus type monster thing, and
the way it's being sucked into kind of
black hole or something.
black hole.
It's really the visuals are great.
I thought that was actually really great, and we also get to see the TIE fighters.
Yes.
So there was an Imperial ship.
Oh yes, there was. Yeah.
So they were. It was so that's another nod to kind of like Star Wars.
Yep.
So you've got this Imperial ship comes along, and the TIE fighters come out, and they start chasing the Millennium Falcon. So this reminds me of kind of like Star Wars and how kind of that will happen. And you've got this a huge octopus type of like creature. There's a black hole. The creature is kind of like latches onto the Millennium Falcon.
It's weird.
The black hole is pulling the creature, so that means that the Millennium Falcon is being pulled. But then
they're trying to pull away, aren't they?
They're trying to pull away into warp speed, light speed, or whatever it is. And there's another kind of like little plot device where they inject the ship with
with the coaxium energy. Yeah, just a drop of it
with
was enough
it.
to give them a massive boost.
Yeah. So they and that's how they're able to do.
Yeah.
That's how Han's able to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was actually a really good scene. You know, lots of things going on in there, and that was really well filmed. You get to see Woody Harrelson using the cannons, firing the cannons.
Yeah. It's always a bit funny that, I mean, that ship, it's the only ship that, you know, you can't fly and shoot at the same time. You need to go to another part of the ship to shoot. And if you notice, it always gets hit, that part. And they always lose their guns. Oh, we've lost our guns. Always happens.
Which is probably another nod to kind of like Star Wars. So they eventually they get away, they do their warp speed, they get out of there, which was really good. And they end up on another.
They go to this. I can't remember the name of the planet, but they go to the planet where they can convert the unrefined coaxium into, I guess, refined coaxium.
Yeah.
Which is a more safe state in which they can go and
give it back to Paul Bettany.
That's right.
Yeah, but then there's something else happens.
Yeah, they get to the planet, and as they're sort of, you know, they're doing their thing, unrefining the coaxium, chilling out, maybe having a drink, regathering themselves. They come across the Marauders.
The Marauders, I want to say Marauders because I think, or they're described as Marauders, but I'm not sure if they are Marauders.
Yeah, we'll find out their real name, but it's the same group they came across when they robbed the train. Yeah, originally,
it's the same lot, and they're important because I think because they are. They're part of the kind of bigger Star Wars universe.
They're rebels, aren't they?
They're rebels.
Yeah,
they're not bad people. Basically,
no.
They need the coaxium so that they can sell it, so that it can fund what's about to happen in the later movies.
Exactly. The rebels need supplies, they need energy, they need finances, and the coaxium is going to help the rebel cause. So
one of the Marauders, the leader, she kind of unveils herself.
Her name is Enfys Ness.
Okay.
It's a funny name. Enfys Ness, yeah. A bit like Elliot Ness in a way. I don't know. But Enfys Ness, and she, they have a standoff, don't they? And she reveals herself, takes off her mask. And actually, when she first took off her mask, I thought, she kind of reminds me of Thandie Newton's character. Because she's young. Yeah. I thought maybe, is she the daughter of Thandie Newton?
I'm going to have to, you know what? I'm going to have to watch it again.
And there's also rumours that she could also be related to
Rey.
Only because people are saying she's got the same accent, but that's like English London accent. Exactly. Anyone could have that accent. But there's all these rumours, but who knows? But either way, she reveals herself, and then they begin to come to terms and have a understanding as to...
They've got an agreement. Yeah. Because we know that Han, he's not bad, is he?
No.
And he kind of understands that obviously the rebels, they need the coaxium as well, but I think they devise a plan where kind of everyone gets what they want. Yeah. Also, at this point, we also get to see Warwick Davis.
Oh, the little man. Yes, yeah.
Who is, he's been in like all the Star Wars movies, I think.
That's right.
Like he's an Ewok. He's been in like countless...
Was he in R2-D2? Was he the guy that was inside, or was that someone else?
You know what? That's a really good question.
I need to find out. I don't know if it was him that was in the the frame of R2D2.
You know what? It could be.
But yeah, he's a Star Wars legend, isn't he?
This guy is like Warwick Davis. He's
Yeah.
been in like kind of all of them and like Harry Potter films and
Oh,
everything like that.
okay.
So whenever, do you remember Willow? I'm not sure if you remember Willow.
Old school film.
Old school
yeah,
film
old
with,
school. He was in that as well.
Val Kilmer.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, so this guy, he's got like kind of, that's another nod to Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, and he's got this one line, and I was like, come on, give him a bit more to say.
Who knows? Maybe he had more cut out. You never know.
Maybe he was,
Yeah.
somewhere in there as well. I'm not sure in another part. But so the plan is then for Han and for
Beckett.
Beckett, for
yeah.
Woody Harrelson to kind of go back to, and Kira to go back to Paul Bettany and say, here you go. But crucially, there's one detail that we've kind of left out. Beckett, Woody Harrelson, he turns around and says no.
Yeah. Yeah.
He disagrees with the whole
doesn't-
plan.
yeah.
He doesn't want to do it because he says that Paul Bettany's going to kill you. But we end up back on the planet where, or the ship where Paul Bettany is.
Yeah.
And Han Solo delivers the coaxium.
Yep, he does. And Paul Bettany takes the coaxium and says, "Oh, this is a." He basically says, "This is fake. This isn't the real stuff."
Yeah.
And then he's, things are getting all heated, and then
And
Beckett, Woody Harrelson's character, comes out of a door.
Yeah, because Han says, well, how do you know that this is fake?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then Paul Bettany's like, because I've got my source.
Yep.
And then we realise that
Yeah.
Beckett, who became this kind of father-like
Yep.
figure to Han Solo, double cross.
Do you know who I thought it was going to be?
Who?
I thought it was going to be Lando. I thought Lando, because he double crossed him, or he's gonna double cross him in the future.
Yeah.
I thought he double crossed them because he sort of flies off. You think
Yeah.
he's gone. I thought he came back. I was surprised actually.
That was-
I didn't
yeah.
think it was Beckett, but yeah.
So
and
Beckett-
Beckett even says, "I told you, don't trust anybody."
Don't trust anybody. So Beckett does the dirty on him. But what they don't realise is that the coaxium that Paul Bettany has
Yeah.
is actually the real
Yep.
coaxium.
Yep.
And obviously there's a big fight scene between Han, Kira and Paul Bettany's character.
Yep.
Woody Harrelson, he gets the coaxium and he takes it away because he's going to go off and sell it off to someone else, and
Yep.
he takes Chewie as a prisoner. But the interesting thing for me was, like how Emilia Clarke's character Kira, you think that she's kind of like this passive, this kind of the love interest type character. You know that there's a bit of fire in her.
Yeah.
We don't know what she's done in those 3 years, and at this point, this is where we get to see what she does.
Yeah.
She basically kicks Paul Bettany's. She kicks a Vision's ass.
Yeah.
She
she does. She can hold her own. She's got
skills.
She has
got skills, and Han is like, what the hell? And there's a point in the movie where Paul Bettany is like, you don't know what she's like, you don't know what she's done,
Yeah,
you got to be careful with her, and she kills him.
Yeah, but you mentioned before, off air actually, that there's a point where something happens with Kira, and you wasn't too sure if maybe she was using some sort of power.
Yeah,
I missed it. But
so in the movie, there's a bit where the rebellion takes place, where Kira and L3, they go into kind of like this chamber part, and they get hold of the coaxium, and she takes out a person, and you only see part of her taking out the person, and L3 turns around and says, "Oh, I've never seen that before," and it looked like as if she used the Force.
Oh wow!
Or she used like a particular type. She used something, and she took the guy. So I'm thinking, hang on a second. Does Kira, has she got the Force, or does she know martial arts, or what? Like she's lethal.
Okay,
So she just,
okay.
and we see a bit of that when she kills
Paul Bettany's character,
Paul
Dryden
Bettany's
Voss.
character. That's
Dryden
it.
Voss.
Dryden Voss. So she kind of like takes him out, and so then I think to myself, okay, so this is dark. Like she's not
Yeah.
afraid of killing someone, and then because she loves. I think we can say that, right? She loves she loves Han. She says, "Look, you go after the coaxium. I'll deal with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to deal with this situation." And then it's at this point,
Things get a bit sinister, isn't it?
things are getting a bit mysterious now, because she puts on Dross's ring.
Yeah.
So then you think to yourself, now she's become the head
Yeah.
of the syndicate,
Yeah.
or part of, like, you know, the syndicate. She's now become like a boss, you know, because he was this boss, right?
Yeah.
And she took the boss out, so now she becomes the boss, like typical, like proper gangster
Yeah.
type, like, you
It's
know.
like their apprentice becomes the master.
There you
which
go.
is another typical Star Wars trope.
Yes.
You know?
And then is it at that point where she makes a phone call, or
I think we see. Han and Chewie. I think they go off, don't they? I think they go off and.
Oh,
and
sorry.
then-
So Han catches up with Beckett.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, yeah.
Han catches up with Beckett.
They have a classic Western standoff, don't they?
And you know what I thought was brilliant? You know the bit where Beckett, there's in westerns where you have the holster, the gun
Little
holster,
clip.
the
Yeah.
clip.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. And
Yeah.
you see the shot of the hand, open up the clip, and
Yeah.
then you think this is going to be like a shootout. And I'm so glad they did this bit, because this harks back to Star Wars,
Yeah.
the original, where who shoots first.
Yeah.
So if for our listeners out there, in Star Wars Episode 4, there was a whole when the film was first released, there's a fight scene in the cantina
Yeah.
where Fredo, a character called Fredo, and Han are arguing. They're talking. Han owes money to Fredo, and Fredo is like, "Hey, I want the money." And under the table,
Yeah.
Han, he shoots Fredo.
Yeah.
But crucially, Han shoots first.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened was, years and years later, so that's how I grew up watching the movie. Han, he shoots first. And this
Yeah.
is what made him such a badass character. He was like, I don't give a shit, I'm going to shoot. Like,
Yeah.
forget all the talking,
Yeah.
I'm just going to shoot. So what happened was, George Lucas, he went back and he changed the scene. Do you remember when he re-released the movies again in cinema?
The special editions or whatever they.
And there was a huge
Oh, yes.
backlash.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
changed
yeah.
the scene where Han doesn't shoot first. Fredo shoots first.
Oh.
And then Han shoots.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a big thing. And like famous people like Kevin Smith, people like Paul, Simon Pegg.
Okay. Yeah.
They
yeah.
were really like why
Upset.
mess around with this? Like, why do you want to mess around with this kind of like this type of thing? And George Lucas's stance was, for the kids, we want to show Han Solo as like a good person.
Because he's not just like a cold-blooded killer otherwise, or
And
something.
basically, that's what that's what he
Okay,
becomes.
yeah.
He's like a rogue, isn't he? He's like, he just shoots first.
Yeah.
So going back to Beckett, the standoff.
Yeah.
You see Beckett talking. He's talking,
Yeah.
and then Han just shoots him dead.
Yeah.
I thought that was class.
Mid-sentence, just.
And then, crucially, Beckett says to him, "I was gonna kill you.
Yeah. I'm glad you shot me first because I was going to kill you.
I was gonna kill you,
Yeah.
kid." And then Han is kind of like holding him, and
Mutual respect and
Exactly.
honor. Yeah.
honor amongst thieves. So he's Beckett's done with, and then it cuts back to Kira.
Yeah.
We're not done with her yet.
This scene done it for me.
When this scene
done
comes
it
up,
for
right,
me.
I was like, whoa. She
Just-
dials in, she puts the ring on, she dials in, and then you see a hologram.
Yep.
You don't see the face yet, but you see someone sitting on a chair, and it's got
Yeah.
kind of like a cape over them, and
Yeah.
you hear this kind of gruff voice.
Yeah. Initially, I thought it was going to be one of the.
I thought it was the Emperor.
type people with
Yeah.
the cloak and with the ominous ooh kind of music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, oh my
And then
gosh,
it's revealed that Kira is having a conversation with none other than
Darth Maul.
and inside I was thinking, hang on a second, Darth Maul? Yeah,
Darth
shit,
Maul.
where did this guy come from?
He is one of the best.
So tell us a bit about Darth
so
Maul.
Darth
or
Maul.
Maul.
So where we are in the chronology of Star Wars, this is after the events of Rogue One,
Right.
and this is before A New Hope. So this is also after the Phantom Menace and so on. So we all saw Darth Maul being cut in two by
he was sliced by
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
In one of the best fight scenes for me in Star Wars, totally.
Without a doubt. If anything good came out of Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah, that fight scene.
It was that fight
Yeah.
scene and that music,
Oh.
that iconic music, the
Duel
Duel of Fates.
Yeah. That for me was. I mean, sometimes I just watch that segment of the film. That's all I need to see.
You know, the way Darth Maul, the way he's swirling the
yeah.
lightsaber, waiting for the thing to open up, and
my gosh,
man, what a
For
scene!
me, and I could talk all day
I
about
know.
that scene. Just those dividers that come down, and just when he's pacing,
He's pacing up
waiting.
and he's tapping it, and it kind of like electrifies.
That was perfect.
Wicked.
But yeah, so we see Darth Maul, and this is the older Darth Maul. This is the Darth Maul who's been literally, because he didn't actually die when he was chopped in two. He was, if anyone's seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the animation, it ran for about 5 or 6 seasons. If you haven't seen it, I recommend anyone that's a massive Star Wars fan, watch it, because that is canon. Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Clone Wars is canon to the Star Wars chronology.
And does that explain what happens to Darth Maul?
Yeah, well, he's in Star Wars Clone Wars. He's actually fixed because he's chopped in half, but he gets fixed, and he's fixed with mechanical legs, a bit like General Grievous.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, with the
General
cough.
Grievous. Yeah. I always thought it was funny how this mechanical thing's got a cough.
Such a like you'd think it'd be precision.
Exactly.
Like no fault, and he's coughing.
It's so wicked, yeah. But yeah, so he's fixed, and he has these General Grievous type legs, and he's badass. He's angry. He talks a lot more. In the Clone Wars, we see his character. We see his brother.
Okay.
His brother is his name is Savage, but it's pronounced Savage, and his brother is a beast. He's a beast.
Okay.
So yeah, we see a lot more of Darth Maul and his character develop and so on. So this is now, after that, or during that, I should say, and so we get to see Darth Maul working with the Syndicate, and he turns out to be the person that was at the head of this Syndicate, movement.
So just to kind of step back a bit, so Paul Bettany's character, that was one Syndicate, that was one part, and there's other parts, right?
Yeah.
And Maul is he's kind of like the head of it.
Yeah, that's right.
So now Kira reports directly to Maul.
Yeah, that's right.
And one of the lines is that he says to Kira is, "I want you to come and see me.
Yeah.
Come over to me. We're going to be spending a lot more time."
Oh my gosh.
So
can you imagine?
Does this mean, because Maul, he has the Force, right?
Yeah. He's still got the Force, because even as he's talking to Kira, he uses the Force to his lightsabers in one side of the screen. He uses the Force to get his lightsaber, and you see it to be the same, like a spear type, double-edged lightsaber. Yeah, that's the
So, when I saw that, I thought,
and he turns it on as well.
I know.
And that's the first moment we get. That's what makes it Star Wars.
Exactly.
Literally.
So that connection.
That's the connection I didn't want to say before in the non-spoiler part, but that's the connection that makes it fully on Star Wars. That just completes it.
Yeah. And then, so do you think now Kira, so obviously, and remember, she's torn though, isn't she? Because she's got this love for Han Solo.
Yeah.
Because Darth Maul is he's like, well, we're going to have to hunt down the people who've stolen the coaxium, and that's basically Han Solo and the rebels.
Yeah.
But then you've got Kira, who loves Han Solo, but has to now work under
Darth Maul.
So
and
there's
who
going to
knows
be
what's happened in his 3 years. Maybe Darth Maul has taught her something. Maybe he's got some sort of, he's close to her in some kind of dark way, as to maybe that explains why she doesn't go off with Han Solo. She's compelled, or she's drawn to Darth Maul.
Yeah.
So
and that and in a way, kind of made me think about maybe she's the dark side. Maybe has she got like a bit of the Force in her, or
maybe she's had a taste of that dark side. Once you go dark side, I hear you don't go back. So she was with Han for how long? But when she had tasted that dark side,
that was it. It's like Han, who the hell's Han, man? I'm going for some more.
What's that double-edged lightsaber?
The film doesn't end right there. There's one bit where you see Han. He's on the bit. Remember, Beckett's just died.
Yeah.
And she sees him on the beach or whatever it is, wherever they are. So she's got this longing. She does want to reach out to him.
Yeah. She looks out to him. He looks at her, and they part ways.
They part ways again, and I think we see that look in his eyes where where you realize, like, is this the one that got away, or are we going to see Kira again in the next one? Will there be a next one?
But also, I think he also, I don't know, because this parting is voluntary. She could have stayed. She chose not to.
Yeah.
And I think that could be sinking in with him, where he's now realizing, have I lost her? Is she now lost because she's choosing to go away? So
and Beckett says, like, you can't trust her.
Exactly. So,
but here's the thing. Here's a question that I'll pass to you. Is it the reason that she went so that she could then save Han?
Okay.
Because then now she'll know what the plans are.
Yeah. Possibly. I guess
it's this kind of the good and the bad. I think this is something that we're going to find out.
Maybe we'll find out.
I think so. So it could be that like what happened with Anakin Skywalker. He was always pulled from back and forth.
Yeah.
And then eventually, obviously, he led into the dark side. But I mean, this could be something interesting. But so then the film ends. At that point where the closing shot is he sees her fly away, she goes off to go see Maul, he's there on the beach with Chewie, and crucially, you realize that kind of it's these two out on their own. And then the last final scene is Han and Chewie. They go back to Lando.
Yeah.
They meet Lando.
Yeah.
Because obviously it has to tie in. How does Han get the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
And this is the last scene. It is.
So they approach him already playing a game of sabacc with some other people.
Yeah.
And he greets Lando. They greet and whatever. And I think at the moment Han sees Lando's card up his sleeve, and he realizes, okay,
this cheating bastard.
Yeah, exactly. So then he takes that card and sneakily hides it for himself.
Yeah.
They play the game. It gets to a point where I think Lando thinks he's going to win.
Yep.
He reaches for the card in his sleeve, realizes he hasn't got it.
Yeah.
You see that look on his face, and then Han slowly and teasily just slaps out the card and says, "There you go." No, I think actually no, he doesn't. I think he plays the hand that he has, and he says, "Oh, and if I had this as well." So then he shows him what
Lando was going to use on him.
So he shows Lando that he knew he was cheating. So he wins.
So and that's how he gets the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
So and then this obviously plays into the bit in episode 4 when he's like, hey, I won that fair and square and whatnot.
Yeah.
So where do you think now, like going forward, what do you think will happen with this whole anthology? Like, will there be like Han Part 2, or?
I think the way they've left it, there's space for Han Solo Part 2.
Yeah.
Whether the people want that is yet to be seen. Whether it does well at the cinema, in the box office, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see more of Darth Maul. Also, what's happening with Kira when she goes to meet Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And any more adventures that Han Solo may have with the Millennium Falcon. Because
the thing is that they I think with Disney, they put these films out as standalone films. Like say, for example, Rogue One, that's a standalone movie. Yeah. Although it is connected to kind of like A New Hope, you could just watch that on its own, and it's a cracking film.
And there's no space for a sequel. There is no space for one.
Because if you haven't seen it, they will die at the end.
Exactly. So that's that. Whereas this one, they've made it with space for sequels, so I don't know what's going on.
So maybe if this film does really well, but then again, what nowadays what does really well mean?
It's got to break $1 billion, I reckon, or get close to it. If it costs 250 odd million to make, they need to.
Do you see this one making a bill?
I mean, if it makes something like 800 million or something like that, that's success. It's more than doubled.
Because I think that's what that reminds me of Batman, Superman. That made that made huge amount of money, even though it was critically it wasn't successful, but it made, and then they came back with Justice League,
which made less,
like
700 odd.
So, I mean, for you and I, 700 mil is like, oh my God, what the hell? But for the, obviously for the big wigs, the big
Yeah,
shots,
yeah.
it's not, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just thinking, if this film does really, really well, then I reckon we will see Han.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even without that, Disney, they've announced loads of movies. I was just reading the other day, Ryan Johnson, he's the director of
The Last Jedi as well.
The Last Jedi,
Yep.
Jurassic World.
Yep.
He's going to be making 3 films. He's going to be making a trilogy.
What, Star Wars? 3 more.
3 more.
So he's going to be doing the next Jedi or whatever it's going to be called. And
Yep, he's doing the next Jedi, and he's going to be making 3 new movies. So
What?
this is going to be a new thing.
It's too much. It's overload. The same person. They've got to switch it up.
So exactly. So, but that's nothing yet. So he's going to be making 3 new movies. There's going to be a Star Wars TV show, which is
John Favreau.
John Favreau.
Yep.
On top of that,
Oh, no.
Check this
Stop,
out.
Stop there.
Game of Thrones showrunners
Yep.
Benny Hoff and DB Wise, I think the names are.
That's the ones.
They're making 3 trilogies.
Hold on. 3 TV shows or...
No, 3 film trilogies.
So there's 6 movies about to be made.
This is
Oh,
taking
come
the
on.
characters off on one, and not only that, they're saying James Mangold, the director of Logan,
Yeah.
is on board to direct Obi-Wan, an Obi-Wan film as well.
And then there's going to be a Boba Fett.
Sorry. James, I got my wires confused there. I got my lightsaber confused there. James Mangold.
Never cross lightsabers.
Exactly. Sorry. James Mangold is
Yeah.
on board to direct
Oh,
the Boba Fett.
Okay.
And then there's going to be an Obi-Wan as well.
Oh,
So, I for the next 10 years,
Gordon Bennett.
because think about it, Disney, they own Marvel.
Yeah,
Disney owns Star Wars.
Yeah.
Those film franchises,
they are money makers. They print their own money.
that's it.
They print it.
So for the next, imagine this. Every year, there's either going to be a Marvel film or a Star Wars film.
Yeah,
Every year for
Yeah.
the next 10 years.
yeah. That's crazy.
So,
I'm just afraid of
Fatigue.
quantity rather than quality.
this is...
That's what I'm afraid of.
But then I think to myself, if you compare 2000, what Marvel have done from
Yeah,
2008
yeah.
to 2018...
But the difference with that is that they had one unifying, force. They planned systematically from a long time ago.
Yeah.
To what we're seeing today. I hope Star Wars have the similar structure. If they have that, then great. If they don't, that's what I'm worried about.
Okay, what is your opinion of the new the actual Star Wars movies? So we had 4, 5, and 6 first, obviously classics, and then we had 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
not so much classics, and then now we've got 7 and 8.
Yeah.
I really liked 7 and 8.
Okay. 7, The Last Jedi and Force Awakens. Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was kind of like there's enough in there for these to be Star Wars movies, and The Last Jedi, seeing Luke Skywalker, I thought they were really great. So this next one that they make, episode 9,
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson's going to do.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it was J.J. Abrahams. I think is going to come back to
Oh,
it.
is it changed now? It's meant to
Yeah.
be Ryan Johnson, wasn't it?
It was supposed to be Ryan Johnson, and then I think it's
Oh, okay.
J.J. Abrahams. I think is going to do it. Funny enough, the guy Josh Trank, he directed Fantastic Four. He was
Yeah,
supposed to
and
be
Chronicle.
doing Chronicle, which I
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
He was supposed to be doing Boba Fett.
Oh,
But
creative differences.
again, creative differences.
At least this time it's before the film, not during.
Yeah. So they've got a whole slate of new films
Wow.
like Star Wars, and I'm like you on this one. Is there going to be Star Wars fatigue?
I hope not, because Star Wars is bigger than even I can. It's big. I have no idea how big Star Wars is, because I'm a Star Wars person, but
Yeah.
I know people that are much higher on. They love Star Wars more than me.
The
Star
comics.
Wars is a religion. It's a recognized religion.
Yeah.
You know,
Being a Jedi.
yes, it's a religion.
I
So
know.
that is how powerful Star Wars is. They need to treat Star Wars with respect,
Yeah.
and if they need to do less to make it better, I'm sure they will appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, if you're Disney, and remember Disney now are going to have their own streaming service.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So they need to have content.
Oh, Gordon Bennett.
TV shows. John Favreau is like going to be making like a TV show on the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So this could go off in any direction.
Yeah, that one I do like the sound of different directions and so on, because there's more creative freedom. They don't have to stick so much to a.
And imagine if you've got like 10 episodes and each episode is an hour, and you've got this brilliant story arc that you can show from episode 1 to episode 10.
Yeah.
Make it dark, make it kind of like really kind of actiony, and the way that Disney can pump millions into this.
Yeah.
So
They have backing.
I think they've got the backing. So Deval, how many Jabba the Hutts would you give this?
I would 6.5 Jabbas for me. So yeah, I think it's a good film, not a great film. Has its moments both ways. That's good moments and bad moments, but overall a fun ride, I would say. So yeah, still worth a watch. Probably still will watch it again, because there's elements that I want to just confirm. So yeah, good film. Go see it.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of agree with you. 6.5 Jabbas, and I think if you're a fan, if you're a Star Wars fan, then you might be a little bit disappointed that things weren't kind of developed a bit more. You might not be extremely happy with seeing kind of Alden. He's not the polished article, right? We've still got kind of like a few to kind of get to, but as a kind of standalone movie, you know what? It's great. It's got some really good, interesting bits in there. I like Kira, obviously Darth Maul. Seeing that was brilliant. So I'm happy to kind of like go along with that. Yeah, I think that's it for this week.
That is
homework.
Okay, so I've got a couple of. I'm going to give one hidden gem.
Okay, go
hidden
for
gem. A film. Okay, I'm going to keep on the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm going to give one hidden gem and one recommendation, just to keep it simple. The hidden gem is a film called Another Earth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an independent film.
Right.
Very interesting film. The clues in the title, Another Earth. It's classed as a sci-fi, but it's a lot more drama than sci-fi.
Okay.
It's starring a really talented actress, producer, writer called Britt Marling.
Sounds very familiar.
I think her name is Marling. Yeah, Britt Marling, and it's worth a watch. Yeah, I don't want to give away too much, but it's a film about a world that may not be unique.
Okay.
But in the way they depict that on screen, it's so subtle.
Okay.
It's so subtle.
Okay, right.
And watch to the end.
Brilliant.
And we'll talk more about it next week.
Like what? Watch the end? Do you mean like is it like a post-credit scene?
Not post-credit, but I think, is it post-credit or mid? Yeah, just watch to the end. That's all I can say.
I'll give that a go.
Maybe a mid-credit, or may just be right at the end.
And
but
again, that's called Another Earth. Another Earth.
I think it came out about 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
So that's another film I watched midweek, just randomly. Was a film starring Christopher Nolan. Christopher Bale.
Oh shit! I was going to say Christopher Nolan.
Bale. I always get them. Do you know it's because of The Dark Knight?
I know.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Called Hostiles.
Oh mate,
have you seen it?
What?
Oh,
I saw this in cinema.
Yes.
It's set in the Civil War.
Yes.
It's set in the Civil War period. And you know what? I have to tell you one thing. I effing loved this movie.
It was under the radar. You didn't really hear about it, but I loved the film. It was a great film.
You know what? It was such a kind of like underplayed performance, and you know who I thought was like Christian Bale is obviously whatever he does, this guy's fantastic. But the
Rosamund Pike
was brilliant in there. But for me, the kind of the subtle performance from the chief, you know, the Indian chief.
Yeah.
I've forgotten his name now. And this character, this actor, he was in Heat. I don't know if you remember Heat.
Pacino De
Niro. Oof. He plays one of the cops in there as well.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it was brilliant. And the story arc, the character development of Christian Bale at the end of it.
Yeah.
What
the line he gives the guy, I don't want to spoil it, but the line he gives the chief at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I tell you what,
that was a line.
And I felt
it.
I know. And then it just came, where did this film come from? I mean, it's probably been, well, it was out.
It came out in
6
October or
months.
November.
Yeah, it's probably been
Yeah.
about 6 months, right? So if for listeners out there, if you're looking for a really kind of powerful, gritty,
Yeah.
It's the take on the Americans, like kind of the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not a kind of like easy watch in the sense that
There are some graphic scenes from the start. Actually,
definitely some graphic
from
scenes
the start.
and you see like both sides of the kind of both sides of the argument,
Yeah.
and how it relates to nowadays. With this whole thing about having, there's a discussion that could be had about like what's yours, like
Yeah.
who was here first,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
is this your land or
Yeah,
is this my
yeah.
land?
Territories and
exactly, like
Yeah.
immigration, like
Immigration,
about
yeah.
how are we going to be?
Yeah.
Are we being like open to kind of people?
borders, and because it's about Europeans settling in America.
Yeah.
And obviously when that happened, who were the native people of America? How did they
What
become,
happened to them?
Exactly, how did they become the fewer? And it doesn't tackle that transition, but it's a lot of years after that's happened.
Yeah.
It's the repercussions of that relationship between those two people.
Totally. And Christian Bale, I mean, he does this a lot, though. He does go through like, physically transformation, like The Machinist. Then he
my
went to
gosh,
Batman.
yeah.
And I think now he's playing like a real life character as well. I think Donald Rumsfeld.
Okay.
And his body's changed again, so he
wow.
started to put on weight. So I
Okay.
mean, Christian Bale, I mean, he's
good.
he's good, man.
He's
Whatever he
good.
does, I think it's good. Okay, what about on Netflix? Is there anything that
On Netflix,
that's worth watching?
This is a semi recommendation, only
Okay.
because I haven't finished watching it yet. But there's I think it's Danish. There's a TV series or Netflix series called The Rain.
I heard about this.
Yeah, it's about it's set in modern times. Again, I think in Denmark, and it's about rain affecting people.
Okay,
That's
interesting.
In a negative way, so
Okay.
it's killing people or making them go crazy.
So the rain is killing people.
Yeah, it's something. I'm in the first episode, halfway
And what if
through.
you have an umbrella?
An umbrella, Ella. I don't think an umbrella can save you. I don't think it can, but yeah, if it did, I'll be out selling umbrellas in Denmark.
Yeah. Is it anything like Dark?
Oh, Dark is a good one. It gave me that feeling because again, it's non-English, TV series, and even the tone, the mise en scène, the lighting, and this, all that kind of stuff was similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that, but I haven't seen enough of it yet to say it's similar.
Okay, because I'm a huge fan of Dark, and I can't
Dark
wait
is-
for the second season.
oh my gosh, yeah.
Listeners, if there is one show, if you like your sci-fi, if you like your time travel, if you like your drama, like just seriously, like after this podcast, watch Dark and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are great. Thanks for that, Devout. I'm going to check out Another Planet. I'm going to check out
Another Earth.
Sorry, Another Earth.
Yep.
Pardon me. And you know what? I'm going to watch Hostiles again.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Again,
I'm going to watch
Oh
it
my
again
gosh.
because you know what? It's a fantastic movie. I'll also be watching Anon.
Oh.
So we'll have a review for that next week. What else is out? What we've got coming out in the
I've
next
got coming out in next week or so. Jurassic World.
Right,
It's
okay.
coming out in the cinema, and Ant-Man and Wasp is coming out soon.
Yeah.
What else is coming out? There's a few hidden gems coming out as well.
Okay.
There's I don't know if you've heard a horror film called Hereditary.
You know what? It's
Out.
got is it an Australian film?
I don't know.
Okay.
It could be, but it's getting some really good
Toni
reviews.
Collette, she's the actress. She's Australian. So,
Okay,
yeah.
maybe it is, but it's getting some really good reviews.
I
It's-
saw
it's,
the trailer.
it's
and-
yeah.
Oh my god!
I
Scared
can't
the
wait.
shit out of me.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Like
Yeah.
like another almost on the scale of they're saying it's like on the scale of like the Babadook.
Oh, okay, yeah. And they're calling it the new Exorcist as well, like
Well, there you go.
on the next level. So
Okay, So definitely, okay. So we've got that to look out for. Okay, and I think that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Thanks for downloading the show. Remember to kind of like us on our YouTube channel.
Subscribe as well to YouTube.
Subscribe.
Yep.
That always helps. Let us know what you think of the show, and obviously if you've got any film reviews that you want us to let us know of, please do. If there's a film that you want us to have a look at, want us to watch, or a Netflix show, please do as well. Tell us about it. And yeah, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.